Burner Network on ZingoTV channel 251. Please remember to download both the Barn Burner app and the ZingoTV app in their respective app stores while you download. Make sure to rate our show, leave a comment. Both apps are free. And remember, they are available on iOS and on all Android devices. ZingoTV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku and Roku Sticks, Amazon Fire Sticks, and on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. All right, let's get into our guest today, who I'm so excited to chat with, Kadisha Powell, who is the team leader of the Centennial Coats women's volleyball team. Miss Kadisha, how are you?
I'm
Thank
good.
you
How are you?
for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we have so much to talk about today. You have such an interesting career, not a conventional one to say, but your volleyball is your family is a huge volleyball family. Your brother Shawan, your sister T, who I had the privilege of playing with. So I want to kind of start off your post-secondary career. What was it like growing up in a house full of like elite athletes?
It was never boring. Every weekend there were practices, there were games. My mom made sure that she cultivated a very supportive environment in our home. So we were at each other's practices, we were at each other's games, each other's tournaments all the time. Always pushing each other, always motivating each other. Like that was our environment at home.
So you mentioned that you guys were at all each other's game. I remember you coming. Your mom had it was like it was like T's mom, that's her spot. Nobody take it.
Yep.
Anyways, but what was it like for you having your mom foster such a supportive environment? How did that affect all of your careers, do you think?
Honestly, I think playing a sport benefits people in a lot of different ways, from leadership to teamwork to working in diverse groups and settings. I think that cultivated over to our education, over to our different careers. I would not change like our childhood for anything. I love playing volleyball and I love all that it was able to do for me, for sure.
Yeah. So I also want to ask you, because your brother is currently playing overseas in Europe. He's playing in Italy. Have you gotten to touch base with him at all, and especially in the current climate with this pandemic? How are you guys as a family dealing with having Shawan playing overseas right now?
Well, for one, we FaceTime all the time. That's definitely the benefit of technology. I still get to see him and talk to him. Um, I would say we're used to it now because he started playing pro at a young age. I think he signed his first team when he was like 18. So now that he's 21 or 22, I don't even remember, but he like he's been there. He's been to several different countries. We're used to it. He's used to it, and it's all about staying connected. Here and there, we might miss a few updates, so we keep like a big family chat, and we always update each other, hop on FaceTime, do group calls. Even we make sure that we're all still connected, even during the pandemic or just while he's overseas.
Well, that's so wonderful to hear. I want to get right back into your career. So you actually weren't planning on playing post-secondary. You wanted to focus on your education. You're such a trailblazer. You actually were part of the first 4-year degree program at Centennial in public relations, and you were set. You were wanting to focus on that. You're a boss. You're a boss lady. That's what you wanted to do. Get your foot in the door and just kind of go. But the Centennial coach actually approached you and said, "We're restarting our program and we would love for you to be a part of it." What were the first kind of few thoughts through your mind? What was your thought process like going into that kind of uncharted territory of building and being part of building a new team?
Yeah, well, after graduating high school, I remember being a little bit sad that my volleyball career was ending. But again, I was moving towards different things career-wise. And in entering Centennial, when I heard that there was a possibility that we were starting a new team, immediately it sparked that fire. Like I could not turn away from that opportunity immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to get back on the court, get to play varsity. Like, even though that wasn't what I had intended going into Centennial, it was the best decision joining that team and getting that entire culture started again.
Was there something specifically that the head coach said that persuaded you? Did you have any trepidation at all going into that?
Oh, there was no persuasion. It was, we're starting a volleyball team, and immediately was like, all right, who's on the team? What are the practice schedules? Yeah, I was very excited. I was also excited to know that it had been 20 years since the last season. So it was like we would get to talk with the alumni and really kickstart that volleyball culture again. And as you said, trend blazing, like I was really excited to be a part of that movement and bringing female volleyball and back into Centennial.
That's amazing. So I obviously you had extensive experience in the sport, and going into your first year, you kind of were thrown into a leadership position. And I know I remember being a rookie, I didn't even know where the locker rooms were. I didn't even know, like I didn't know anything. So I can't imagine being thrown into a leadership spot right away. When going into your season, did you have a vision at all or goals that you kind of wanted to implement into the team?
Um, I would say the goal was just playing in unity, in unison. Um, a lot of the members on our team, some were inexperienced, some were, and it was just every practice trying to get us all to play together, to move as a unit, to know each other's names. Like all of that took a lot of time, I would say, a lot of team bonding, especially. Um, I don't think there was anything in particular, no.
So how important do you think, because this was such a new team, as you said, there hadn't been a team for 20 years. How important do you think it was that bonding off the court? How do you think that kind of helped you guys towards your having a successful season?
I think team bonding is incredibly critical, especially when you're playing team sports. Each person on the court plays a valuable member. Like they're a valuable member on the court. They play as a unit. And so when you're not comfortable with the person you're playing with, it shows. And team bonding not only gets you to know your partner or your teammates, but it also allows you to know their strengths, know their weaknesses, know when to step in and comfort them or when to back off and let them figure it out, right? All of that actually benefits how you play on the court, and your success overall as a team.
I played with your sister, I felt so privileged to play with. And you're talking about building this a positive team culture, bonding with your teammates. Did you ever bounce ideas off of her? Because obviously she was in that setting as well. Were you able to pull anything from her, and able to implement that into your team at all, even like on the court or off?
Oh, all the time. My sister is one of the best leaders I've ever seen. And you can tell when she's on the court that it's just like takeover mode, and she's able to really guide a team and just without even having to ask, just watching her games, watching how she moves, watching how she speaks to her teammates, or listening what goes on at practice, like, or what feedback she would give me. That in itself, I say would set me really far ahead for sure.
How important do you think it was to kind of already have your built-in support system of your sister? Because I felt sometimes being obviously like we had an amazing team, but how important do you think it was having that automatic support system for you to just go to your sister and be like, you know what, I went to practice today and I couldn't pass a ball and and it just wasn't working out for me, or I wasn't in the right position. What kind of insight or feedback did she give to you in those moments? Because sometimes I felt like I was floundering a little bit, and you don't want to go to your teammates and be like, I can't pass, I can't do anything. So what was that like for you?
Oh, like, she was incredibly supportive, but she was also tough. Like, it was really like, "What is it that's going on? Why can't you do these things?" Like, there was support, but there was a lot of, like, breaking it down, figuring it out, a lot of toughness on her end, but in the end, it really shaped me as a player, and I really thank her for all of her insight. Her and my brother, both of them benefited me. Yeah.
Well, we mentioned before, so you obviously had leadership on the team on the court, because you were named as MVP. What were you shocked at all when you got that accolade? Like, was that something was that a goal you had set to yourself, to be MVP or to be a first team All Star? You were a first team All Star, second team All Star, and an MVP. Were those goals you had set for yourself initially, or was it just kind of like, I put in all this hard work and it was such a great thing to have at the end?
Oh yeah, there was not goals at all. Being in that first year, I was a rookie myself, so I didn't actually know about like centennial banquets and what kind of awards come and the OCA. I didn't know how any of that mapped out. So at the end of the year, when I was told like, oh, rookie of the year, MVP, or first team all star, I was like, I don't even know what these things are, but this is amazing. Like, thank you. And then like the following years, that's when I was like, okay, these are things to work towards. But that first year, all of it came out of shock. Yeah.
So, obviously I said huge role on the court, but also, so you're pursuing your undergrad, you are a captain or a team leader, excuse me, that's what you guys refer to you as on the Colts, but team leader, and you're also the head pretty much of all community engagement. So you definitely did not waste any time kind of taking a lead role in everything. I just want to list a few of your initiatives. So you had Colts Day Play, Colts Hunger Program, the Colts Games. You did initiatives revolving around breast cancer, Movember. So you coordinated obviously all of these events pretty much. Why do you think it's so important that athletes especially give back to the community? Um, and how did that shape your experience as a varsity athlete?
In developing the Colts Cares program, my sole focus was getting the athletes to interact together and then doing it for a better purpose. Because a lot of what I noticed at Centennial was that you had like separate teams and we didn't always really talk and get to know each other. And so in doing these initiatives, it was ways for us to learn about different sports, learn about the athletes on each team, and then also doing all of that towards a great like outreach program. And in general, I know that our community came out to games and would support us, especially like basketball, soccer, like they drew a big crowd. And so in hosting these events, these were ways to just give back to the people that were also coming to support us, our surrounding community. And we did that, as you said, in a variety of ways with the Colts Play Day, Colts Against Hunger, our Bell Let's Talk mental health panel that we hosted. Yeah, there were a lot of initiatives, and I'm really proud that we were able to put them together.
So I'm going to touch on Bell Let's Talk after because you put together an amazing panel, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But you mentioned that like the surrounding Colts community. Do you ever feel like volleyball in general isn't as supported as some other varsity sports? Because some people do think of it as like a fringe sport.
Yeah.
Um, so how did you guys manage to foster, other than your community engagement? Why do you think Centennial was so successful in fostering that all-encompassing community environment?
I would say in the beginning, it was definitely hard. A lot of people didn't even know we had a volleyball team, and that's because it was gone for 20 years. So even getting the word out that, hey, we're back, we have a new and improved team, we're getting there, we're working our way towards it. That in itself was like a stepping stone. And then after word started getting out, I created like an Instagram page for our volleyball team. So I started like broadcasting our games, broadcasting like different things about our teammates. That started to draw a bit of a crowd. And getting more support from our athletes. I don't know what it is about volleyball that doesn't draw like as big of an attention, but overall throughout the years, we definitely saw the crowd grow. And by the end, by my fourth year, we were like circulating a lot, and we had like a big crowd by the end of that. So that was good to see. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear. I want to touch back, as we mentioned before, about your Bell Let's Talk panel. When I was reading about this is kind of one thing that truly struck me. So obviously most varsity teams have do a Bell Let's Talk initiative, but you really took it to the next level. You brought in beach national team member and indoor national team member Shanice Marcel and her partner to talk about their experience with mental health and being female athletes. How did that come about?
So when we talk a lot about mental health, I don't think we talk a lot about how athletes deal with any issues mentally, and particularly when you're stressed out with school, and then you also have a game, and then you have like 5 practices, and then you work out, all of that, and you're working on the side, like all of that is a lot of stress. And I wanted to bring focus to not just Bell Let's Talk and mental health, but mental health particularly with the athletes in our school. And so putting together that panel, we had Shanice Marcel and Julie Gordon a part of it. And we also had different members from our athletic department who represented also different backgrounds, like from the LGBT or different diverse groups of people. And each of them were able to talk about their experiences with mental health and pertaining to sports and culture, and how it feels to lose a game, how it feels to have issues with your coach, how it feels to have issues with your teammates, or the workload. All of that was discussed, and you actually saw a lot of people engaging and sending us tweets with more questions on, okay, how did you handle this, or what are your tactics for this? And majority of those questions were directed to the professional athletes. So it was great to have them. I thank them so much for being a part of it. I think the entire panel was a success in terms of raising awareness for mental health with athletes.
So do you think that there's still a stigma revolving around athletes and mental health? Because even though there are amazing panels like yours, and we do talk about Bell Let's Talk, what do you think can be done in terms of like expanding this conversation and making it a little bit more mainstream and something that people touch on a weekly basis? Like even your coach saying, touching base with you, like, hey, are you doing okay today? What do you think can be done on a larger scale to kind of highlight that a lot of athletes do struggle in terms of balancing their mental health and everything else that goes on?
Yeah, well, I would say for one, like every school that hosts a sports activity should be doing things surrounding mental health on a regular basis, not just within the month of January. I know a lot of programs that offer psychologists and people that you can speak to. That is really important. I think that after every game, there should be an opportunity for people to get their frustrations out, talk it out with licensed therapists and professionals. I think that would be great to incorporate in all athletic departments, with for students in general, of course, but for a lot of athletes who are dealing with pressure, maybe situations at home that aren't too great, and then having to balance all their responsibilities, it would be great to have a professional to talk to who's just available within the athletic department after practices, after games, during workout sessions, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, I think anybody who's listening or watching right now, that you certainly left your mark at Centennial, and you had this like internal fire that just didn't stop you, and it hasn't. No steam has been let out since you've left your college campus, and you actually have started your own business, your kit. And so, what do you think? What do you think were the transferable skills that you got from sport that kind of lit that additional entrepreneurial fire within you? Or do you think you've always been an entrepreneur?
Honestly, I would say I have always been an entrepreneur. With every situation that like that comes up, I always find myself going, "Oh, how could I market that?" Or "How would this like be a thing?" Or "Is anyone else already doing this?" That's how my brain has always worked since I was a child. And so when this idea came about to start Care Kit, um, immediately it was a lot of research, it was a lot of planning, and in terms of transferable skills, I would say that it would be adaptability, and accountability for sure. I would say as an athlete, like you may have your game plan. Everyone prepares a game plan when you go into a game. But a lot of us know that it doesn't always go according to plan. You have to regroup, you have to change it up, block certain areas, dig certain areas. Like it always changes. And that's one thing I for sure I've learned when starting a business. You might have a marketing plan, you might have like a social media strategy, but eventually you got to change it up. You got to adapt. You got to do research, and then you also have to be accountable for yourself. Are you putting in the amount of work you need to? You're not going to see results unless you're putting in the work. You're not going to play well unless you're training, right? Like all of those, I think, transferred from volleyball into being an entrepreneur and starting Care Kit for me.
So what's your mission behind Care Kit? Because I know I love Care Kit. I think it is such a great concept. But for people who haven't heard about it, can you give us a little bit of insight about what your mission is?
Absolutely. So CareKit originated as a way to provide comfort to people with periods, and that's anyone who has a period. And what it is that we put together kits on a monthly basis that have hygiene products, but also have treats, comfort items, things that just help make that time of the month a little bit less horrifying, really. Like, it helps, honestly. And the mission behind it, besides bringing comfort and convenience to people with periods, I also started an initiative in that we would give back with every box, every kit that we sell. There's a percentage of it goes towards providing hygiene products to people within the homeless community, specifically in the GTA. So I don't know if a lot of people know. I know before doing the research, I didn't know, but people who live in homeless shelters or don't have a home, the products that they use during their time of the month, very unsanitary. It's actually really dangerous, and it's not something you think about on a daily basis. And so once learning that, I immediately said, I want to do something about this. I want to give back directly to our community. And so every kit, a part of that goes towards helping out people in homeless shelters who need these hygiene items. But overall, the entire concept is dedicated towards relieving that time of the month, um, just bringing in a new custom experience, because each kit is completely personalized for you. You get to pick any item from tampons to pads to cups to anything like that, treats, chocolates. You get to pick it, you put it in your box, you decide when you want it as well. And so that was the entire mission behind it.
Well, it's a phenomenal mission, and I didn't realize that you guys were actually giving back to the community as well. If people are interested in purchasing one of your care kits, how can they do so?
Yes, so they can go to carekit.ca, KAREKIT.ca, super short. We are under construction right now, but our site does open up this week, and it's going to be new and improved. We've updated everything about it. I'm really excited to showcase it. We have some new products launching this week as well, something I haven't tried before. I can give a little bit of a sneak peek in this interview, but we are launching our own candle line. So in this, our first one is going to be like a cinnamon spice, like a cider candle. It smells amazing. I'm really excited for people to try it. I haven't put it on social media yet, but I'm going to. And it launches this week along with our new site. So
Well, you guys heard it here on the Spike First. It sounds like the holidays are coming up. Sounds like a great holiday gift that truly keeps on giving. Kadisha, thank you so much for being on the show today. I think we gained a lot of unbelievable insight into your career and who you are as a person. I think at the beginning of my intro, I could have added athlete, entrepreneur, philanthropist. You wear so many hats. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
yes, they can email me at info@carekit.ca.
Amazing. All right, everybody, that is our show for today. Um, and again, Kadisha, thank you so much for hopping on here and giving us a lot of insight. You can get a hold of me on Instagram or on Twitter. My handle is at @dmaragos. That's DEEMARAGOS. And remember, the H.E.R Network is a part of the Barn Burner Media Network, and the shows can also be heard on the Barn Burner Radio Network on its 122 platforms. Please check out barnburner.ca for all other news and programming. That is our show today. We'll catch you right back on the H.E.R Network next week, Monday at 7:30 Eastern. I'm your host, Demetra Maragos. Thank you so much for tuning in.